Hey friends, welcome to another chapter summary of The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And we are on chapter 13, which is called Far, Far Beyond. And what he means by far, far beyond is beyond the confines of our limited perceptions, our habits, and all of the things that kind of keep us trapped into our own little worlds, our own comfort zone, and our own way of being. And he says that in order to be a person who grows spiritually continuously, we always have to be kind of on that edge of our comfort zone, kind of pushing against all of these ideas around how we think things should go, how other people should behave, all of those types of things. So going far, far beyond is where the spiritual growth occurs. And let's see, on page 120, he says, if you want to go beyond your model, you have to take the risk of not believing in it. So there's this willingness to release our control and also the willingness to release whatever it is that we've been holding on to as our belief systems. And on the next page, it says, if you really want to see why you do things, then don't do them and see what happens. So here he gets into talking a little bit about the habits that we keep, these things that we do in order to keep ourselves kind of trapped or stuck. So he talks about smoking here, and he says, if you want to release old habits, stop doing it and see what comes up and kind of sit through that, let it ride. And then why you do these things will be revealed. So I would say, this could go for scrolling on social media, habitually, checking phones and notifications, drinking, smoking, eating, all of the habits that we have, that we kind of accumulate as coping mechanisms. And when we don't pick up these crutches, then why we do them will come up. This is what he's talking about here. So kind of confronting the urges, seeing why they're there, like what we're trying to run from, hide from, all of that stuff. And kind of each time we ride those things out, gaining victory over the habits, right? So this is what he's talking about, doing things differently. So doing things, dropping habits, dropping ideas, doing things differently. He talks about us wanting to constantly stay in our comfort zone. We struggle to keep people, places, and things in a manner that supports our model. Again, the model being the idea of how we think life should go, how we think things should operate. And if they start to go any other way, we get uncomfortable. The mind then becomes active, telling you how to get things back the way you need them to be. So this is all occurring in our mind. The mind is creating stories about the way things should be. When they don't happen the way things should be, we get uncomfortable. Sometimes then we reach for something or try to fix, manage, control things. And that the way to grow spiritually in these situations is not to do any of those things. They're not to go back to our habits of controlling or reaching for things outside of ourselves. It's to simply sit with this discomfort and notice it. And then on page 122, he says, so there are two ways you can live your life. You can devote your life to staying in your comfort zone, or you can work on your freedom. In other words, you can devote your whole life to the process of making sure everything fits within your limited model, or you can devote your life to freeing yourself from the limits of your model. He then talks about a tiger in a cage. And basically what he's saying is that we basically cage ourselves in, even though our soul is infinite, limitless, but we create these boundaries. And once we become ready to face reality without the mental boundaries, that's when we can continue to grow spiritually. Bottom of page 124 says, spirituality begins when you decide that you'll never stop trying. Spirituality is the commitment to go beyond no matter what it takes. And he talks about how spiritual people, all the greats, have been willing to live at that edge, like live on the limit, like finding your limit and living there and continuously confronting your limits and going beyond them. A spiritual being feels as though they are always against the edge. They're constantly being pushed through it. So that made me feel a little bit uncomfortable reading that, because I like comfort. And so I felt a little confronted by that, thinking, wait, do I always need to be uncomfortable in order to continue to grow spiritually? But on page 125, which is the last page of this chapter, in that very last paragraph, he throws like a big soothing bomb over the whole thing by saying, imagine a comfort zone that is so expanded that it can fit easily the entire day, no matter what happens. The day unfolds and the mind doesn't say anything. You simply interact with the day with a peaceful, fully inspired heart. If your edges happen to get hit, the mind doesn't complain. It all just passes through. This is how great beings live. When you are trained, like a great athlete, to immediately relax through your edges when they get hit, then it's all over. You realize you will always be fine. So that sounds a lot more comforting, doesn't it, than feeling like you always have to live on the edge or in discomfort. It's actually creating comfort. I picture walking to the edge of a cliff and not living looking down at what's below, but walking to the edge of the cliff and realizing that the cliff is all an illusion and that we're safe no matter what. That's kind of how I took it. So I went from feeling really confronted and a little uncomfortable to feeling like, oh, I get it. This is about the mind playing tricks on us and us becoming comfortable with the discomfort and just being willing to face kind of these delusions that we have to keep us safe. One of the last lines is, you end up loving your edges because they point your way towards freedom. All you have to do is constantly relax and lean into them. Then one day when you least expect it, you'll fall through into the infinite. That is what it means to go beyond. So that's where I'll leave off today. Just continue to relax with these edges. Realize that what we think is unsafe is actually okay. It's all okay. And we can live there comfortably by just simply being willing to face down our habits and our perceptions and being willing to go beyond. So I hope that helped, and I will be back next week with the chapter 14. Thanks.